structure doesn't quite take up the whole slab that the new building will. So if you look on there, there's some pictures of it
Well,
right in your pack.
are you using the existing building or you're
We're
going to?
using the frame, it's gonna be a new building. They're gonna spend about 150,000, redo, put a building up on that same site, footprint.
Oh, okay, so you're reusing the building or reusing the footprint?
Footprint,
Okay, so
same
it's
slab,
basically a new building.
we're on the same slab.
Okay, okay. There was mention of something about a frost wall. Could you explain what's going on there?
Well, you can't just put a slab up. Go ahead.
There won't be any frost wall. We're not doing any earthwork at all. We're using the existing building that's there, and there's a 28 by 30 slab on the end of that building that just has a roof over it. Taking that roof off, and then we're building a brewery in that 28 by 30 area, and the seating area will be in the existing garage.
Okay, so I thought there was mention in here of a frost wall, but
No,
there's this, so there will be no excavation whatsoever.
not except just the electrical line coming in, sewer line coming in, and the water.
Water,
line coming in.
okay,
That's all there'll be for earthwork.
okay. I just want a clarification on that because I saw something in here that alluded to a frost wall, which sort of confused me. I don't know how you can do a frost wall without excavating.
Right.
Okay, another question, the thing that sort of confused me a bit is the driveway. And I see there's an application with the state for a driveway permit. Now,
They have that.
right, now, is that the same driveway that is accessing the flea market currently?
Yes,
Because it's a change of use, you've got to resubmit,
Okay, okay,
okay?
but it's not a different location.
No.
It's the same driveway, different use, okay, and, now, the question about parking, that the parking is all currently gravel surface?
Yeah.
And you're not increasing that?
that's correct.
Okay, so are you going to, do any markers for, I quite frankly haven't really looked to see what exactly what exists
It's
there.
gonna be
Are you
ground
putting any bunkers, not bunkers,
markers.
markers,
You're gonna put a sign at the end. Basically.
We can certainly do that, but we,
You can't mark it because it's gravel, but you can put signs up.
okay.
yeah,
But you can put like, sometimes people put the, like a granite curb kind of thing. So you're not really planning on,
we're planning on doing any.
not doing really marking spaces per se,
Right,
so.
not until we get it paved, which
Yeah,
will be in the future.
yeah, okay, I guess that's all I have for now, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? No, nothing?
Yeah, I've got one question.
Hey, I have a couple of concerns.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, first of all, hi everybody. My name is Noah Meringue. My family property is 12 Keys Landing Lane, which is directly in back of the White Duck, right across the field there. We should be kind of adjacent to the Island Park Brewing. So, you know, I think first of all, I think it's really wonderful for the area. I think that the White Duck's been a great business, and you know, it's great to bring people into Winthrop. We just want to make sure that you know, safety is addressed. Currently, I think I heard it mentioned as I came in. Right now, the painted lines, if you're headed you're headed west on 202 and you follow the current traffic pattern, it leads you straight into a very dangerous curve, right? So that needs to be addressed. There's a lot of people. I have 3 children. My mother is elderly. So there's a lot of people in that area who could get very easily confused by that. I don't know why that hasn't been taken care of yet. The other piece of concern is that if you're traveling on Turtle Run, so if you're heading on Turtle Run towards the White Duck, there is no signage for a stop sign. And then also, if you are turning off of 202 to pull into the White Duck, and I know we're not talking about the White Duck specifically, but they do have an adjoining parking lot. So I'm seeing this as one giant continuous traffic flow. So there's no signage. Who has the right of way when there's no sign? I'm not sure. And I have, this is the only home I've grown up here, right? And I've seen some really bad accidents. My neighbor was put in the intensive care after being rear-ended on 202. Anybody you can feel the traffic moving, right? So I think the business is wonderful, but there needs to be more attention to detail on how people are entering, people are exiting. And I'd love to see the results of the traffic study from July 1st to Labor Day about how the traffic has been affected and the appropriate measures taken to account for the flow of traffic. I think that's really, really important. So the signage is huge. Safety is huge. I would hate to see somebody get hurt. We've also experienced, pulling into the marina down there when you got the full size F-150, the quad cab, the 8-foot bed, and you got a 20-foot boat on the back. You got to make that turn. Then you have to stop for oncoming traffic. Ouch. Okay. There's been a lot of scary, dicey situations right there. I'd like to see just, the study on that and the measures that are taken.
Yes.
He's paused.
I think, sorry to interrupt you, but I think we can wait till we get a little further in here. These are 2 separate deeds, I do believe. So these properties are separate. Am I correct in saying that?
Yes. Yeah.
The parking lots are separate.
Whoa. Parking lots are not separate. Parking lots are not separate because you've got a road that goes right from one right to the other. So you tell me how that's separate and I'll be happy to stop my complaining. But that is, in my opinion, that's not separate. Unless you put a wall up that says you're flowing one to the other. That's continuation.
Can't touch the signage on Turtle Run or Route 202. I mean, that's a DOT or a town issue, either one. We're not allowed to put any signs up along either one of those roads. And you probably have some good points, but we've got an entrance permit from DOT for the change of use to come in with the antique market is. And they don't seem to see a problem, but if you do, you might want to call them because we can't do anything. We're not allowed to put signs up on roads. Either one of those.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the planning committee's responsibility. The planning committee's responsibility is to be able to look ahead and look at the current traffic pattern, recognize potential safety concerns, and then mitigate that through appropriate traffic patterns and signage. And this is all flowing in and out of the same facility. If you have one parking lot leading to another, I don't understand how that's considered not connected. When they built it so that it was connected. So that's the.
However, the Route 202, that's 202 there, right? Route 202 is a state highway. It's not, it doesn't belong to the town, so we can do nothing. The board can do nothing. We can't plan anything about it. So if you do have a problem, you really should contact them. We don't put signs up. We don't do any of that.
Yeah, the board can assess. The board can assess and mitigate risk before it happens. You can stop a big accident from happening by taking the proper, appropriate measures of monitoring the traffic flow and talking about it from July 1st to September 1st and how much traffic patterns change in and out of Turtle Run, in and out of that little building there. And then you can basically double it and say, is this safe? That's what you can do.
That's based on traffic that's already coming into Lakeside Lodge and Marina. That's the 40 seats in a brewery, it's not going to affect that traffic. This is 366 times 4 guests when into Lakeside. It's not going to be 40 seats inside of a brewery that's already 200 seats at White Duck, and then 366 guests per year times 4 at Lakeside Lodging that we have already been approved.
Who's this guy? Did
The
he
owner of
identify
Lakeside
himself?
Lodging.
Did you hear it?
Could you tell me your name, please?
Zach Stewart, I own Lakeside Lodge and Marina.
Thank you very much. All
Yeah.
right, let's, go on, please.
Oh, one more thing before we get going. So-
No.
Mike,
No.
excuse me, you're gonna have to wait until we go into a public session again.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, you wanna continue with some of your,
We had a question.
we were.
I've got a question, Betty.
You had a question? Oh,
So,
yes, go ahead.
and you were right, there is a reference to, parking will be implemented over existing impervious areas, therefore no earthwork except frost walls for the new addition are all to be.
That was my fault.
Okay, I would
Sorry.
respectfully suggest just to edit the letter and get it back into the record, so there's no reference to that for confusion. On your site plan, you've also got a proposed, sidewalk, I assume that's gonna be gravel and not impervious. Not gonna be tarred or concrete.
We're just setting this up for pavement in the future. Waiting to see how the operations go, but, you know, how big is it gonna be, how, we don't know.
Maybe raise some money.
Just for the record, gravel is considered impervious,
Yes,
so whether it's gravel or paved,
but it's already there,
really is no change on that.
but it's already there.
Right. Right, well, I'm saying is, any additional gravel or pavement would be additional impervious, but if it's existing, it's not a change, so that's what we would need to identify if it's anything additional, either one.
Yes.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Oh, let's see.
Excuse me, I have something, I have a letter here from a fire department that they want to review, with you and, go over it. I think this is the only way to read this, is just go, they wanna go over everything with you and then clean you, give you a clean slate to go on from their point of view. And that will have to be put in there and done before, I think we could pass it, because it's very important with the fire, so,
Right.
Huh?
Easier.
Oh, I don't know, I'm sorry.
Good evening, I'm Dan.
Thank you.
I'm the fire chief. So I apologize, I generally work really well at the last minute, and that's what I'm doing here, working at the last minute. My concern is not with their project at all. My concern was with what we just talked about, is the antique mall, which was originally a barn that was converted into what it is now as an antique mall. And I have a file, I have letters that show them, as far back as 2003, we started to identify with the previous owners that we didn't feel that building met fire code. It did not. In 2007, after I'd taken over chief in 2006, 2007, I did get the owners to add exterior stairways on the second floor. Originally, there was only one way in, one way out of the second floor. I requested that they did some additional work inside the building, electrical type work. But at that point, it still did not bring the building up to complete code. So at one point, Bill and I had a conversation when I found out that he was now the lucky recipient of that facility, that it did not meet code still at this point, under my understanding. I haven't been through the building in several years, but that it would have to be brought up to code, and he said, we are planning on renovating the building. So when this plan came through, that didn't actually touch that building, but renovated a different building, I spoke with Jim Coffin. And I was concerned that we were not gonna ever address that building, but Jim, Bill and I have had quite a bit of extensive conversations over the last couple of weeks. And I am confident, I don't have any problem with trying to hold the project up, I have no problem with moving forward. I've already addressed some of our concerns with them. Haven't, I guess, actually set the exact date, but we're gonna go through the building together. Under the understanding that they felt that in 24 months, the next 2 years, they would be doing extensive renovations to the building anyways. So our agreement basically comes down to, we'll do some emergency lighting, some smoke detector type stuff. The two things we care about is notification and evacuation. So we just need to finish some of that work that never really ever got completed, and I will take some responsibility for that as well. But I'm confident that we're all on the same page, and that until Dawn had said that there would be in her records that 24 months from now, we would come back and revisit it, so that if they hadn't started any other major renovations or plans, we could discuss it again. But I'm comfortable that we're gonna do a few things, get the place a little bit better off than it currently is, with that window that eventually the building will completely get renovated. So the letter that you have, we talked about maybe updating that letter a little bit, but she felt it was fine as it was, is that we are comfortable, I am comfortable, the fire department's comfortable with allowing the project to move forward, and I will continue to work with him. So even if you decide, you don't, as far as the fire department's concerned, you wouldn't need to postpone this for a later date. I'm comfortable,
Okay.
we're gonna get this squared away. So that's the long and short of that letter.
Is it possible to put something in the plan that states that?
I'm gonna
Is there anything
recommend a
in there?
suggested,
Okay, go ahead, Dawn.
I'm gonna recommend a suggested condition of approval when we get to that point where you make a decision.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
Thank you. Anybody else?
We just doing the building now or process,
We don't,
doing everything?
oh, yeah.
Well, he said he.
I'm sorry. We're doing the plan, yeah. We're looking at the plan and.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just had one question about.
Sure.
The process. Does it give off any kind of odor, emissions?
Well, it's similar to like, an industrial kitchen. So like any restaurant, when you're cooking food, there is an odor. So yes, it is almost like a sweet sort of smell, I guess you could say. I guess it depends who you ask, if it's a pleasant sweet smell. Yeah, I would say yes. Now, that being said,
I just feel like beer, I guess.
I get exactly. There are some people that don't. But that being said, unlike a kitchen, a brewery is really only functioning the production side for maybe an hour every week. So that smell is really only produced very rarely. An hour.
Yeah, I read about the brewery somewhere, I can't remember what it was, but neighbors were all up in arms about that because it was giving off. That was probably more of a steady operation, I guess.
Probably, yeah.
Or an hour a week, isn't that?
Yeah, we also have, we've been working with the Winthrop Utility District for sewer. So that is being able to hook up to a Winthrop sewer line is, it negates a lot of any sort of negative, sort of smell that you would associate with it.
Great.
Could you state your name for us, please?
Yeah, my name is Connor LeCass.
Thank you.
Yeah.
One question about the building. As your adjacent neighbor, at the original planning committee thing for the White Duck, and I know it's two separate projects, we were promised a variety of plantings between the White Duck and the properties. What was erected was a fence. And so, like, we feel like we got kind of like promised one thing and then totally failed to go on those promises. So yeah, what would you do for plantings between, your facility and your neighbors? If anything, or would you promise one thing and not deliver?
We're not gonna do anything. roll with that.
Anyone else from the public have anything to say?
Thanks for the answer.
All right, I think we can, want to vote? Everyone ready? Want to make a
Let's vote.
motion? Please.
I just wanted to, excuse me, I'm sorry.
Oh,
In regards to if the board moves forward with an approval, I'd like to add some suggested conditions to the staff memo that I've provided for you. One would be that the applicant meet the fire chief for the letter dated 1/10/24, and they would come up with a timeline for which they could move forward with the suggestions in the letter. And 2 years was what had been discussed previously, and I believe that the applicant, has agreed to that. Edit the narrative, just this evening, edit the narrative in the application, the official record regarding the crosswalk. And that's all I have, sorry, there's
Okay.
additional two.
okay, thank you. You want to do it?
I'll make the motion.
All right, go right ahead.
I'd like to make the motion, case 23-09. Consideration of a request from Island Park Brewing LLC. For the creation, I probably should have turned this on. The creation of a 1990 square foot brewery and tap room with associated site improvements in the general commercial district located at 2541 US Route 202 on Town Map 54, Lot 27. Be approved.
All in favor?
Sorry,
Second.
Oh.
was that gonna be with the condition of,
With the conditions, yes.
okay,
So there are 9 total.
Yeah,
Okay,
probably should have that in.
I'll second that.
All in favor? No opposed? Okay, yeah, the conditions.
Thank you.
Good night. Oh, one. That's what you're gonna run into me up. All right.
I used to work in Lewis Street down on Now Street. Country kitchen, yeah, and that's what this was. And I used to go down there and drive to work and smell that.
All right, now we're gonna discuss the case 2306, consideration of a request from 134 Main Street LLC. Homes for the creation of 7 residential units in an existing building in a village district located at 134 Main Street. This also was postponed from 12/20/23 due to weather. We have someone to present?
Madam Chairman,
Sure. Oh, yes. Thank you.
and on this case, I just wanted to mention that the architectural firm and design build. I own an operator coming from the company here in town, and I have a currently contracted architectural firm on an unrelated project. But I don't want to see any current or future issues regarding the project with my involvement, so I guess I'm asking if I should recuse myself from this.
Do you feel that you can be fair to both sides?
I feel so, but others may not, so.
Recusal may be.
What?
I said recusal may be appropriate.
I think that at this point they're okay. If you have any problems, just let us know. We'll refuse you. Got a point, but we're not there yet. And you don't have it, and you haven't got the
I haven't
job
been
with them yet.
approached.
So let's wait until that point, be honest and come up with anything that would be fine with me. Okay?
I will just say one thing is that sometimes it's not even the conflict, it's the appearance of conflict. So just want to avoid that as well, if possible.
Yeah.
So it's up to the board.
If we have a quorum, I just assume.
Okay. Well, how does the board feel about him staying in?
He's not here tonight, I'm sorry.
Do you believe that, we should give Aaron a recusal? Yeah, what do you think?
We're not voting tonight.
Oh, sorry about that, it's my fault. Do you think we should give him a recusal? Does anyone here have anything to say on the board?
He can recuse himself if he wants, so he's revealed that there's an apparent conflict, and he's revealed that too. If he wants to recuse himself, he can, if you have a forum. If he wants to go, and the board has concerns that there's a conflict, they
Okay.
would vote on that.
All right, thanks.
I'll just recuse myself.
You just recuse yourself? Okay, that's fine, thank you.
And for appearance, like, you could just step into the audience during this item.
Okay.
Thank you.
You don't have to go away. Yeah, okay. All right, go right ahead.
The building on 134 Main Street has the US Cellular and subway down as well.
Can't hear him very well.
You wanna come over here and?
Yeah.
We're gonna fix this setup right now, at least
You're getting a
be heard better.
Okay, my name is Brandon Roberge. I have a general contracting company in Sullivan, the home based out of Augusta. Can you hear him? Can't hear him. You just getting close to Mike?
Did you push the button?
Is that better?
Good, sure now, okay.
My name is Brandon Roberge. I have a general contracting company based out of Augusta, in the homes. And there's this project here at 134 Main Street, as the US Cellular and the subway building at the first floor. The second floor largely vacant and have been for quite some time. And basically we're proposing to convert those two floors into living space. So it consists of 7 apartments, 2 3-bedroom apartments, 5 1-bedroom apartments. And that's just a project. We're not doing any changes to the footprint. And the exterior changes are extremely minimal. We're going to trim, do a new roof. There's some dead trees out there we're gonna remove, but maybe extend, there's a part of the parking area that's gravel that we might actually pave that part. But aside from that, all the renovations are interior. Largely, pertaining to the second, third floor.
Questions?
Okay, I did have some questions, concerns, and I guess I'll admit I might not have researched things quite as well as I thought I had. Looking at this project initially, I know it's listed as a subdivision, and looking at it, I initially thought that that would not actually be considered a subdivision. It's not a division of lots. However, it was brought to my attention that the state regs, which I did not review, may indicate that, converting an existing building into a number of apartments could constitute or would constitute a subdivision. So therefore, this may fall under the subdivision rules nonetheless. Now, that being said, the subdivision, whether it's subdivision or just a multi-unit residential development, the building, of course, location is grandfathered, it's been there for a long time, I don't know the age of the building. I don't know the historical uses of it, other than, certainly the last number of years it's been retail and business office. But, that is located, part of which is, in the shoreline zone, the stream front, which is a 75-foot setback. I don't know exactly how much of the building is within that 75, if any at all, but certainly the lot does abut the stream. So I guess some of the questions we need to discuss is whether we're talking shorefront subdivision, are we talking subdivision at all? Are we talking just the development of a building with apartments? And then to complicate the issue, of course, this is in the village zone, which has much lower restrictions as far as lot sizes and so forth. So I guess kind of prompting the board for any additional comments on this. At this point, I'm struggling a little bit as to kind of what approach we're going to take. So I guess at this point, I'd be interested in other comments from other board members.
Don, maybe you could tell us, how does this fit in with this new LD 2003?
It doesn't.
It doesn't?
It doesn't give them more units for the project. They would have to include an affordable housing component. And to Ed's question about subdivision versus site plan, if we had a site plan ordinance, we could actually review it under that, but we don't. And 3 or more units in a building, even if they're not being conveyed out, it technically meets the definition of subdivision in Maine. So that's why I have it noted as we're reviewing it under the subdivision ordinance. So zoning and subdivision apply.
Okay.
And my understanding also is that in the village district, there isn't that same overlay as far as the stream. I could be incorrect, but that's my understanding.
Yeah, that one I understand there's definitely issues with the stream going through the village area. Although I certainly think anything we do, we want to try and be as protective of the stream as we can, but I don't think the frontage standard for a shoreline subdivision really apply here. So, and again, that's why I'm kind of opening up to the board for you know, other thoughts on this, because to me, I believe the stream overlay in the village is you know, really doesn't apply in the village zone.
So it does or does not? You've been here longer than me.
Yeah,
I can talk to Mark about it.
Yeah, my understanding is it doesn't necessarily apply in the village zone, but that's a question whether I'm interpreting that correctly or not. So.
You're not making any decision on this tonight, just confirming whether or not it's complete, and I can certainly look into that further and come up with more information as to how the protecting that resource applies in terms of the regulation.
I have a question there, Don, you can help me. Is this building, like grandfather? How long has it been on that site? And how long have we been over 100 years?
Yeah.
Okay, so
That's good.
okay, so if we're a certain many feet away from the water, then I am assuming that at that time it was okay. So why would it not stand now? I don't know.
It would be grandfathered in terms of its location. I think the question that was raised was pertaining to any other physical improvements that might occur, looking at the embankment.
Correct, new stuff.
And also I think there was a question around if it does apply, there's a frontage requirement, and I don't know if it's per lot or unit, but this is, I'll get clear on this for you all for the next meeting.
Okay, thanks.
Is that correct? That was.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. Any other questions on the board?
But you mentioned that, you are putting a new roof on.
Yeah, on the shingles. So there's like where the shingles are, it's part flat roof, but it's mostly shingles. And the shingle portion of the roof is kind of starting to fail.
Oh, the rest of it's fine.
Yeah, the rest of it's getting a good work on.
What about the exterior? It's brick.
Yeah, I mean, so there's a little bit of graffiti on one side that we plan on cleaning off. We definitely plan on pressure washing the building. Just kind of clean it up, trim work, needs to be painted. So trim on the windows, the fascia soffit up above. There is some masonry work on the chimneys, some of the bricks are coming loose. So that'll be addressed as well.
So you're gonna make the exterior sound, is what you're saying?
Yeah, give it
Which I would think it would, but,
yeah.
the windows, I noticed you're reusing all of them.
Yeah, I mean, so those windows, it appears like, so there was a large renovation done by Kevin Matson, a little over 20 years ago. And it looks like at that time, those windows, the age of the windows looks in line with that.
So energy wise, they're good.
Yeah, and egress wise, that, there's a couple windows that don't meet egress standards, but they're gonna be in living room areas. So all the windows that are in bedroom areas, meet egress standards.
And the fourth floor, I believe, is, you're not doing anything with that now.
No.
Sounded like you're gonna lower the ceiling though.
Well, the ceiling's already lowered.
Oh, it is?
So that fourth floor area is, this big the HVAC unit, sits up there. There's a little catwalk to get to it, but, it's larger than most. And it'll, according to this plan, it'll remain that way.
In the future, it could be.
In the future, if we were able to put more units in there, we could have done something with that fourth floor, but.
Need them, that's for sure. Now, how's it gonna be heated in there?
So there's a fairly new HVAC unit in there, that is sufficient, BTU output for the square footage. The ductwork will have to be redone, for the new layout, but, the unit itself, the furnace itself is sufficient for that. There's also, 2 boilers. So it looks like it used to run maybe on the boilers before the furnace was installed. Because there are 2 large boilers, and there's only a couple of baseboard heaters coming off of that in the stairwells.
So will each apartment have their own, will they be paying their own heating, air conditioning, whatever?
No, likely not, no.
So that'll be included in the rent.
The heat would be included in the rental price, so.
That's all I have.
Anybody else? Go right ahead, Chris.
Yeah, just make sure I understand. What we're looking at tonight is the building modifications, nothing on ground. You mentioned some ground. Sorry? How's that?
That's good.
As I understand it, we're looking at modifications to the building tonight, nothing on the ground, is that correct?
I mean, we have a couple, we do have a couple, small plans for the grounds. We did want to do a little picnic table area over by the water. And clean up some of the, we had met with Mark out there and went over some of the dead, vegetation there and talked with them about removing some of the dead vegetation.
And there's no plans on a fence or anything like that.
Maybe, we may do a privacy fence around the dumpster. Just, make that a little less of an eyesore.
That would be on
But the dumpster's already there, so we're just thinking, it might be a good idea to put a privacy fence around it, just, you know, make it a little less of an eyesore.
the, thank you.
Go ahead.
So at some point, if you could consider whether or not the application is complete, and I know there's some pieces of information I'm going to get for you, but whether or not the applicant submitted enough information for you to make a decision is where you're eventually going with this.
Go ahead.
All right, I had some additional comments. This is in relation again to the stream area. Again, the question is, how much of the stream overlay actually applies in the village zone? But that point notwithstanding, although that certainly could be a factor in what we ultimately need to require. But my thought on this was in regards to some discussion of cleaning up trees around the stream, and I think I saw some little maybe pencil sketch of putting a lawn in here and some tables and so forth. I would be reluctant to approve any changes in the stream banking area without looking at a really comprehensive plan. And I think this would be a case where we wouldn't try to deny access to the stream. I think that is something that might be encouraged, but it would want to be done in a way to minimize flow to the stream with addition of plantings and materials that would retain the water flow, surface runoff and so forth. So I think I personally would be interested in looking at this project as far as dealing with the building, but with the level of detail or lack thereof of how the stream area might be addressed, that I would suggest that that be done as a separate issue with a good plan, something that's really going to be designed to help the stream. God knows that stream is being whacked in numerous ways already, but we don't need to add to it. So my suggestion would be that we deal with the building, and then as a separate board function, that project come back with kind of the sort of the development of the stream area with appropriate plantings and so forth to replace some of the dead trees and generally speaking, kind of a mess that's out there now. I believe that to really enhance the appearance, but in the same time improve the runoff situation to the stream. So that was just a thought. We can take that under consideration or not.
Is there anything on the outside that, let's say you finish the building, you're ready to rent, is there anything on the outside you have to do before we do that? Parking, anything like that?
Not really. I mean, we'd like to pave the area that's gravel parking. We would like to pave that if that's okay, but.
I'm concerned about parking.
There is a gravel path parking currently. We would like to pave it, you know, if everyone's okay with that.
And that parking area is sufficient for all of these apartments?
Yeah, the current design has two spots per park more than what's required. It could easily be adjusted even to add even more parking than that.
So conceivably, the stuff you want to do on the outside, you can't do it at the winter. You could come back with a plan to get it approved.
The only, I mean, yeah, we could do that, I mean,
For picnic table areas.
yeah, oh, yeah. Definitely do that. I know there was like that downtown village revitalization plan, that involved this lot and doing something down there. More than what, I mean, all we're planning as far as vegetation goes is lawn. And move on, you know, the dead stuff and just some lawn. But, well, and then maybe we were thinking maybe where the picnic table goes, doing like a little gravel path there, but, we could definitely revisit it at a later time.
Nice to get it done when you're getting ready to rent, that would probably help.
Yeah, and like you said, though, I mean, we probably won't be doing any of that until spring anyway.
Yeah.
Anyone else on the board?
Yes, I guess this is for the members of the planning board. Do you typically require applicants to consult with the Historic Preservation Commission to determine if there's any eligibility for National Register, or I don't know if you, a 100-year-old building, if there's a chance that it,
I don't know.
before you do exterior, I don't know, I don't believe that there's a requirement that you do that, but I don't know if the planning board before has, because I mean, we do have affirmative findings we need to make that it's not gonna have an adverse impact on historic or archaeological resources, I believe.
And just to throw out there, so, at the historic elements, or at least what I did to the historic elements, the base of the soffit outside, no changes, I expect fresh paint on those. Same thing with the trim around the windows, a lot of, I consider some really nice historical looking trim on the windows. No changes to that. And then even in some of the stonework, this granite mixed in with the brick, aside from like pressure washing and cleaning it up, just that, so.
John, can you, as we're looking into the zoning on the parcel, can you also take a deep dive into that, or love just to see, I just wanted to look at there.
I'm sure can.
Thank you.
Rick, did you have something?
No, yeah.
Oh, we did. Okay. Anyone else?
I guess just to follow up on that, needs to be done. Are we in a position that, do we need to determine whether that is required before we determine that the application is completed for review?
I believe it's just as you had thought that it's not required. I don't think it would be required for completeness, and I can get the information between now and the next meeting.
If he's not disturbing the outside, he's only making it better. In a way, he is preserving the building. Someone else might come in and say, we'll tear that thing down and build new. In this case, we're preserving the history of the town, at least it's.
But I will go through the ordinance and provisions specifically and make sure that, yeah.
If it was, we do.
Depends on what the standard was, what it
Yeah.
was that was requested.
Did you have something else?
No.
No? Okay.
Oh, let's see.
Anybody else?
No.
Anyone in the public have any questions? No.
Is this the public comment section? Yes. Was there a traffic study conducted surrounding the property in East Winthrop?
Oh, which
Was-
project are you talking about?
Was there a just traffic study conducted concerning the influx in traffic with the new brewing site, the brew site? Yes or no?
There was,
Yes.
There was.
yes.
And what time of year was that conducted?
I think that we're on two different, things right now. Could you wait just 1 second? Let me finish up with this
Sure.
gentleman. Thank
Sure.
you.
That information is all part of the public record. I have it here in town hall and, it was available online. That's actually the previous application, but we do have that information.
Okay, good.
Don't go online.
Comes down hall.
You can go online.
Both.
Yeah.
Anything else you'd like to share with us?
No, just bunch of using well and, with, something for the community.
Okay. What would the board like to do? Anyone want to speak?
So we are determining completeness.
I would, yeah, that's what they're asking for, is it not?
Is it substantively complete? Because there may be,
Substantive.
yeah, if there,
They're not
there
worried
are
about
things that you
the-
request additional or, but,
So to speak, to complete, yeah.
yeah. Because you have identified some things that I'm going to pursue.
Right, we're gonna look them up, yeah.
Correct.
Okay, I will. Okay. On case number 23-06, consideration of a request from 134 Main Street LLC, Brandon G. Roberge, Human Homes, for the creation of a 7 residential units in existing building in the village district located at 134 Main Street on town map 31 lot 69. Be determined as substantially complete for submission as a subdivision.
Wait a second. All right. Those that are agree, approved? That's it.
We have it.
Okay, so you have that with conditions.
Well, it's just, yeah.
Yeah, you have conditions, you will, yeah, Donald. Are you sure of that? Okay, I guess the rest of you are all waiting for the next one, huh?
Oh, yeah. I'm gonna take a 5-minute recess.
You want to raise it, do you?
No, he's going.
All right.
We just gonna have a 5-minute recess.
We're gonna have a 5-minute recess, so if you need a break, go right ahead.
Noah, if you can email me, your contact information, I can follow up some things with you. Right through the website. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Aaron, you're back on board now, right?
Yes, he can come back
You
now.
come back.
We sent him to the corner, but he's out. See how much papers. Yeah.
How's my treat you?
Oh, not bad, not bad. How are you?
Good.
I haven't been over to the council for a little while.
A big weight off my shoulders the other night. So Shannon's chair now.
But that,
Shannon's chair now, so,
oh, really?
yeah, I had enough stress.
Are you done or just,
No, I'm there. I can
oh,
be
you
here to
still,
go.
oh, you just,
Oh, yeah, and I might run again. It's just time for someone else,
yeah,
different perspective.
oh, yeah. Yeah, that's that's kind of a pain job. That's why I made Betty do this.
Well, I was talking to, Patrice Putman, and
Yeah.
she said when she served on the town council, they had a sort of a routine. Every year, a different member had to be a chair.
Had to be.
Yeah, they would just keep
Oh.
rotating,
That might be a good idea.
which is
Every year.
not a bad thing. We did.
That's right.
Last couple months ago.
But then-
Somebody's turn, they do.
Once, I don't know. You
sent me a message.
I know, but I want you to know that.
Well, we have one.
I think it's really meant coming from me.
Yeah, no,
And
they're not doing anything, but I think,
I can't,
That's kind of interesting about that story.
yeah,
I don't think there'll be any problem.
Yeah.
That's just kind of interesting.
as long as it's not.
Yeah, I don't think there's any, it's not like,
Well, yeah.
not like we're talking, civil war kind of building.
How old is it? They tried-
I don't know.
Yeah. It's the council liaison to the other committee, the new.
The mill building, I'm sure, is older than that.
Oh, yeah.
You usually have a.
But, yeah, that's interesting thing about,
I have the background now and a binder.
the stream overlay zone, that stream runs right through the building.
Yes, it does.
The wall, from all of that, where the sidewalk is,
Yep,
that's the dam.
okay.
That wall.
Where they have the. Health bill.
Yeah, it's a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's the,
I think that.
the PTs in there, right? Yeah, you go back. Yeah, oh, yeah, go back in there. That's the dam, that wall.
Level for anything.
Well, the floor points, right?
It's down
Okay.
Over the road, before it gets there.
Yeah, let's take time, yeah.
Yeah,
They
good.
just looked at it,
I don't know if
which used to be.
Lately, I don't know.
yeah.
It's,
Oh, yeah, it's going to, probably about to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that stream runs right through the middle.
Yeah.
Right, totally right underneath.
Yeah.
So the setback of the stream, not so much.
Not so much, I said that,
That's
yeah.
what I'm saying. We missed it. We missed it. Steve, what on that big red alert?
Need a canoe to work there.
But Steve is never died.
Did he sell it?
I don't think he owned it.
Yeah, I went through that, like, when I was with DEP, and they closed the mill, I went through to make sure that I'm getting things closed over. And, yeah, I went down the basement, you can see
The river.
the remains of the old turbines.
Yeah.
You know, generating the power to run the mill. Yeah, that's why.
It seemed that they had places like that, it's an all mill, and they ran the turbines. You could see there's something.
Oh, yeah, that's almost every mill in
Yeah.
the state, built on the water, which is most of the old mills, I mean, they were running water.
And dump it in the.
Anyway, I just wanted,
Oh, well, yeah.
That was a good thing.
Sorry, yeah, that was the other thing, you wasted time down the other end.
Yeah, yeah.
Mill.
But I just really want to know.
You're gonna.
I worked at a paper mill in Madison, and this was in the seventies. The paper mills have been kind of the same, I don't mean 2000.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And they would direct drive, the grinders were grinding, direct drive off of the waterways.
All right, is everybody come back, please? All right, we're gonna start. I think everyone's back. Joel, you wanna come up?
Please.
Please, Joel.
I have a question. Gentleman keeps talking about the traffic study on the roof
Yeah,
and asked that question again. In looking at the application, there's a section in here that talks about that study. And basically what how I read it is there was no study required because of the number of trips going in and out. That's how they word it.
They're working with MDOT and it's based on trip generation.
Right, less than 100 trip generation.
That's what
That's what
triggers
it
it.
talks about in this application. So are we led to believe that there is no study? There was no study.
Well, they call it an analysis.
The architect firm did the analysis, made that determination,
Correct,
and that there wasn't one necessary. Is that how I read it?
correct.
Okay, that's the answer to the gentleman's question.
And the DOT, the driveway permit is outstanding, and that is one of the conditions. When you made the approval condition, that permit has to be in hand as part of the official record before the project moves forward. So it's in their court right now,
So
but
the DOT has to issue a permit.
correct.
Okay, so the answer to the gentleman's question is, it was reviewed by the professionals at the architectural firm, determined it wasn't necessary, but it still required permits for access.
Correct.
And that's the DOT's responsibility, that's the architect's and contractor's responsibility to get that back.
If they're now their responsibility to get that into the official record, as conditioned by the board, correct?
So what you'd be sharing with this gentleman is that part of the document that addresses that.
Yep, I'll have it entertain any discussion with them.
That answer the question, sir?
Yes, thank you. So the best of my understanding is they did an analysis without actually conducting a traffic study on site, on location in the prime time of summer. Hey, I don't want to waste your time. I'm in support of the project. We have a chance to hit a home run for the town of Winthrop. We just don't want to hurry. And we want to make sure that signage is addressed and that you're doubling the amount of booze in a small area. You got fast traffic, you got a trailer park on the left, you got a pub on the right, 2 pubs on the right, and you got boat traffic coming in and out. So you need to make it flow better than it's going to flow. And that is our responsibility as a town of Winthrop to see ahead and say, hey, we can slow our roll a little bit and we can make it right. That's your responsibility. Okay. I trust you guys. I know you're going to do the right thing, but it just needs to be said. Right now, it's a very dangerous situation. There's inappropriate signage right by the 2 throughways there on Turtle Run. There's no signage coming off of 202, pulling in. There's no signage. And it's a dangerous situation. Kids and family, it's a dangerous situation. I got to voice my opinion. I mean, I'm supportive of it, but slow your roll, get it done right. You're doubling the booze, you're doubling the boats, you're doubling the traffic. Make it bigger, give people room to play. Winthrop's slogan is, we play outside. Give them room to play. Otherwise, you're gonna get some really bad accidents, and I've seen it in the past. So I'll leave you guys with that. I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
thank you very much. Okay, we're
So
ready.
Don, you're going to share that piece with him and
I will, and what happens is that when a driveway permit is triggered, the state's gonna look at that, and if it is unsafe conditions, they can require offsite improvements, signage, et cetera, so we'll see how that comes back. But right now it's in their.
on the flip side of that, it sounds like a lot of the work that needs to be done is done by the DOT. About signage and placement and all that good stuff.
It's in
Have
the
that
right of way,
determination,
yeah.
So
Well, we can certainly participate in the discussion with them and let them know what the concerns are.
I think he has valid points. Thank you.
All right, we're now going to start the last part of we're gonna start for the last part tonight, and that's the public hearing on the creation of a mineral extraction ordinance. Joe, do you want to give a kind of rundown about what we've been doing? No, maybe, I hit you right in the head, huh?
That's okay, I can give a quick, sorry.
Somebody on?
You'll be happy to know the council last night or Monday night talked about replacing the system, so.
Maybe you can,
Usually.
yeah, try it. Should read, shouldn't
Well,
it?
oh, that's
Just
not bad.
about, all
Yeah,
right.
so the process for this is, we've started off with a draft which incorporated components, from various sources. We looked at other communities, we looked at, state regulations, we looked at, initially looked at some initial thoughts from some early, commenters on the project, and the planning board worked through this whole ordinance, made their own decisions and revisions, and then we ended up with a draft which is now available for public comment. And then I assume the process would be is that you guys now would take the public comment and decide if you want to make any further changes based on that. So that's the long and short of the process. I appreciate everyone's hard work on this. It's been, we've sat and we've gone through it with a fine tooth comb on several occasions. And this is where we are now. Not to say that it won't change again. Most likely it probably will in some way, but that's where we are right now. And just as point of introduction, my name's Joel Greenwood. I'm the planning director with Kennebec Valley Council of Governments. We were contracted to assist the town with the creation, the administrative creation of this ordinance. I'll give, professional planning advice, but I certainly won't, our job as I see it is to facilitate the town to create the ordinance that they want. So I'll give my advice, but I will certainly just go by what the town says, and that's what we'll hopefully have reflected in the final version, which will go to council. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Julie. Does anyone on the board have anything to say before I turn it over to the public?
I guess I just wonder, how are you gonna go about this? Are we gonna go through
We're gonna see
Or
what
just
anyone
take
here has to
random.
say, and then we're gonna let them talk.
random? I was just wondering how we're gonna do this. Are we just gonna take random comments? Or are we gonna go through in a logical?
We don't have a microphone to pass around, do we?
There is no microphone this evening, it's not working any longer.
They're gonna have to come
So
up
this is
front.
why there's a chair here.
Yep, yeah,
Um,
they're gonna have to come up.
Yeah,
They're gonna have to come up here, and I guess they can take a relay race, see who goes first. Any other questions?
I'm gonna say, we're gonna ask for comments from the board first.
Yes, I just did.
Oh, okay.
You missed it.
No, but
Yeah.
I mean.
Do you have any
Did
comments?
we get any comments?
That was.
That was the only
that
one,
was-
okay.
that was a comment.
Okay.
That was
There
my
you go,
comment.
go ahead. I'd be disappointed if you didn't have one.
If I didn't have. Well, I actually did have a couple of comments. I did have a couple of comments, some of which are related to some of the public comments, some of my own. There's a couple of things that I thought we would want to modify, and that basically deals with the section on blasting, primarily on page 22. One thing I would like to see changed on this is at near the bottom of page 22, paragraph E, blasting occurring between 4 and 9, not occurring between 4 p.m. and 9 a.m. With the last sentence, detonation of misfires may occur outside of these times, but must be reported to the town office within 5 business days of the misfire detonation. But I would suggest the board consider that rather than require that the misfire be reported to the town within 5 days after the detonation, that if there is a misfire, I think it would be appropriate to report it immediately to the CEO. And if CEO is unavailable, to Winthrop Police Department, that there was a misfire and they will attempt misfire detonation. Rather than hearing about it 5 days later, I think it might be appropriate to hear about it before it happens. Then if there ends up being a detonation at 9 o'clock at night, nobody wondering what the heck is going on, that the town already knows about it, the police already know about it, and, you know, that would be addressed. So that would be my suggestion, that, the town or police department be notified as soon as they're made aware of misfire, and that there will be a planned detonation or an attempt to detonate. One other thing I would like to add, they're talking about blasting schedule, number of blasts per day, maximum of 4, et cetera. I think, and this was suggested by member of the public, that we actually limit the number of blasting days for any blasting operation. And I would suggest we pick the number of days of, you know, let's say 10 days, 15 days a year, or something of that nature. So I just kind of want to throw that out for thoughts on the board, whether anyone feels that that would be a good idea or not.
Yeah, I agree with that. I made a note there on that too. I think there should be limits, monthly, weekly, whatever.
I was thinking in terms of annual,
or annual, but
we'll pick a number, but I mean, most operations don't blast every day anyway, thank God. And it is a process when they blast, so, I guess I would suggest maybe 10 days a year, 15 days a year, something like that.
Is that in your term?
It's not in there, we don't have it now, that's why I'm suggesting we add it.
How many did you say?
I don't know,
15?
I don't know, anybody have any thoughts on the number? Yeah. And I'm sure the public will weigh in if they think
Weigh in
that's
on that one.
excessively stringent or something, I don't know.
Can somebody explain to me about the detonation when it fails? I'm a little confused.
Okay, down in section
lot.
E,
Yeah,
right here,
I see it.
but
Misfire, detonation of misfire. Why do you want it done immediately? I don't, what's the necessity?
well, if they're blasting, I'm far from an expert on blasting. If they're blasting and they're set up, let's say a detonation,
Mhm.
they fire it and it doesn't detonate.
Okay,
Well, you've got a bunch of holes out there charged with the explosives that you kind of got to do something with. And I don't know exactly what the process is, but I'm sure they somehow come up with some way to try to refire that. But and that's why in here they said that a detonation of misfires, in other words, when they go back to refire it, might occur after the normal blasting hours, because, you know, it's out there, they get. So my suggestion is, as soon as they know they have a misfire, report it to the town,
Mhm.
and then proceed with what they're gonna do is try to
That's
require.
what I kind of thought, yeah, thank you.
That's what I would like to see. But again, throwing this out to the board, I'm not the
Anyone else?
final say on everything.
No? All right, I'm gonna open it to the public. What I would like for you to do, because you have to come down here, we're not gonna be able to hear you. If you would just make a nice little line and I want you to take enough time to express yourself, but please don't, take any longer than you need. Because none of us will need until we talk about.
We're not gonna be here.
The other thing I wanted to say was, if the person before you has made a point, and that's the same point you're gonna make. If you, I mean, I don't see that I want 5 people, that we need 5 people here telling us the same thing all 5 times. I'm not trying to stop you from talking, but I'm just trying to encourage that we keep things in an orderly manner. So if someone would like to start coming down, okay.
If they could, we got quite a few documents from input from folks.
We
They could
do.
identify which document that, or email, whatever they're talking from, and help for reference purposes.
Yes,
They could
please.
do that, please.
Yes, if you have a document, please reference it. And when you get up here, please tell us who you are. Okay?
Comments
on everything or just what Ed has proposed? Well, I'm not sure what you mean, everything.
It's open public.
Do you want
Open
all
to-
my ideas, or do you just want comments on what Ed proposed on the 10 to 15 days of last? Go ahead.
We noticed the public hearing.
Yeah, oh, I see what you were asking, I didn't understand what you meant, yeah.
No, just not comment on my 2.
Yeah, everything, it's been here for the whole
Yeah.
document, okay. So go right ahead, I guess you spoke first, so you can
Well,
express yourself.
I think I can talk loud enough.
Your name, please?
I would do the same as, with the 10 to 15 days at the board, but I would go with the 10 days.
That's good, identify yourself. Yes.
Bunky, can you give your full name and address? I'm sorry, Bunky Wilson.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
What is your reference?
I think she's referencing the
Same
comment
one
that
that-
Ed just made, yeah.
On page 4. Never seen it before. No, I don't do well. B, it says, it has an exemption.
We have
The
a quiet in
mineral-
the audience, please, because we can't concentrate, thank you.
With your microphone. Page 4B under Article 3 exemption, B. It states, you should exempt 5,000 square feet of surface area or the removal of handling of less than 200 cubic yards. Personally, I don't think you should exempt only, you should exempt the gravel and sand pits, but not quarries and open pit mines.
Okay, do you have anything else for us? Yeah. Okay.
My hands are tired, I do a lot of water moving.
I get it.
Page 8, section 4, waiver of submission. Personal opinion. I don't think there should be any waiver. It says, fact finding there are special circumstances in the MEO that affects an area less than 1 acre and over 5,000 square feet. May waive any of the application requirements. Why would you do that? Page 9. Number 2. The planning board shall schedule an on-site inspection if required. I'm shocked to think that it wouldn't be required. I would think it would say, the planning board shall schedule an on-site inspection. That should be an always thing. The last was on page 28, and I talked to Dawn about this, to clarify what she decided. Under appeals and variances, it only addresses the variance. It says variances from the requirements of the mineral extraction ordinance may be granted by the Winthrop Board of Appeals. But it doesn't give any language which gives you the process to appeal an administrative decision, which is in your Winthrop zoning ordinance. So what I would think, personal opinion, that you would take the wording from your Winthrop zoning ordinance under the administrative appeals, and you would coordinate that, put it into this ordinance so it's the same thing. That would be on page 55. It would be the administrative appeals. Otherwise, my question would be, if I wanted to challenge the planning board on their decision, I need to have a mechanism to do that. Because I would have to go to the Board of Appeals first. Then, if that didn't work out, then I'm assuming it would go to the courts. So I'm playing the devil's advocate for anyone in the future, if they disagreed with the decision on this, they would have a mechanism for the administrative part. This only mentions variance in the ordinance. Thank you very much. And I also want to thank you guys for doing what you do. Been there, done it, appreciate it.
Thank you. Next,
Matt Kelland. I'd like to follow up on some of the things that Bunky just said, but add a little more to it. First of all, I was one of the people who emailed about the blasting days. The lower the number of blasting days, the happier I will be, obviously, since I live right next to the Turkey Lane site. However, my main concern is with the exemptions. First of all, the exemption for small pits, 5,000 square feet. There's nothing in this ordinance to stop me putting 10 pits on one site next to each other. I could put 10 pits in a single acre and claim they're all small pits and don't need to be regulated. That's a little concerning. I think there should be some kind of limits that say if you're going to have an exemption for small pits, they really do have to be small pits, not a Lego set that allows you to build a large pit in the same ordinance. Secondly, as Bunky said, the exemption for saying special circumstances. I would love to hear from the board or from anybody else. What kind of special circumstances are we talking about? I understand the need for mining in some places. I rather didn't happen, but I understand it. But I'd love to know what would cause the board to say, you know what, we're going to let these guys go ahead and dig and ignore the rules. Why would we do that? Okay, I guess we'll, thank you.
Thank you. Yes,
I'll try the microphone.
okay.
Hello, my name is Scott Knox. I sent an email last night to the planner, which she said she copied to you folks. It says comments on draft mineral extraction ordinance at the top. So I'll just summarize the email. I'm very concerned about the noise level generated by mining operations, including both blasting and crushing. And I had 3 requested changes to the ordinance, section 11 noise, recommended sound level limits that's talked about in paragraph 11AI be changed to, I think it reads now 65 dB, change it to 55. Second, regarding blasting, making the change that was mentioned by the other gentleman here, so that the paragraph F reads blasting may not occur more frequently than 4 times a day and 10 days per year. And third, for hours of operation, recommend changing the hours of operation for crushing and processing to be 8 AM to 4 PM. My request. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else?
My theme on the drive. Well, I mean. Talking about the exemptions, first of all, I'd like to say thank you for that notification after the misfires. Because in the middle of the night, exposure goes off, call the fire department. And we, you know, that's good, I like that. But on the exemption, I know it's been talked about, but can you speak up? You can't hear you over here. Okay, on the, well, all right, I'll do my. On the exemption part, I don't know why anything should be exempted, like the gentleman said, we have multiple pits with no oversight. And with this, I think we need some type of oversight, even on the small pits. I also want to state that our group is not anti-business, we just want it done right. On the, I just spoke who was earlier, groundwater protection. I know, it's been mentioned multiple times that our area up there has not poor quality, but for, we don't get that much poor volume. We don't get a lot of volume up there for our private wells in some locations, and there's no protection really for us unless we have to supply the financial to have it tested or it's documented. I know the operation hours, I know the construction is construction, they start early, but the traffic potential, with school buses, mainly, and our own personal vehicles, you know, that road is not that wide, it does have some really sharp corners. I know it was an egg farm before, had tractor trailers on it, but the crushing operation is probably potential for a lot more traffic. So I don't know if there's a traffic study. I don't know if the police department has any concerns on traffic or other issues of that nature. But I don't know how we can curb traffic safety issue. Something that we need to concern about. And that's pretty much it, I believe. Yeah. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next,
Can I interject with a comment question?
sure.
Actually, since Mark isn't here, I'm gonna aim this one kind of at Dawn. Going back to the exemption for the mineral extraction operations that affect less than 5,000 square feet, handling less than 200 cubic yards in less than 12 months. My interpretation of that, although since it's an exemption, I wouldn't be addressing it as a board member, but from a planner or a CEO viewpoint, would apply to one excavation or maybe several excavations on a given lot that the total thereof could not exceed the 5,000 square feet? Is that? Now, one of the folks' concern was, are you gonna have 5,000 square foot over here, move over 20 feet, another 5,000 and, you know, polka dot the lot with these, or do we need to say limit one per lot, or is it, would it typically be enforced that when it says a limit of 5,000 square feet, it could be one or multiple holes, but, would be a total of 5,000 square feet? Any thoughts on that? Or do we have to say that?
Well, so 5,000 square feet, and I took a quick measurement earlier today. You can understand that, it's about 2.5 times the size of this room, about 5,000 square feet.
Yeah, probably.
And this would not, it wouldn't be that it's not regulated, it wouldn't be regulated under this ordinance, because your ordinance provides that after a certain amount of fill, the planning board does review it.
Right.
The question of whether or not they could polka dot. I don't know, Joe, do you have a?
I think with most regulation of things of this nature or large scale development, I think it's probably a good catch. I think we can tighten up that language, because the intention is certainly not to allow people to have a large scale operation by circumventing that by having individual ones that don't meet that threshold. I think we need to look at, either the use of either on one lot particular or even on adjoining lots that are in separate parcels. I think the idea is that the total operation, whether that be individual components of that, meet that threshold. So I think we could probably tighten up that language to make sure that that isn't the case. I think the intent is to say that an individual small operation, and again, there's a question of do we just talk about gravel pits, do we talk about blasting and other things, but my understanding is we might want to tighten that up so we don't, there's no way that someone could circumvent them by doing smaller operations on a large parcel.
Okay, that sounds like a good idea if we tighten the language up, because like I say, if I was enforcing that, I would take that to mean that's it, you get 5,000 square feet, whether it's one hole or 7 holes or whatever.
Yeah.
But, when public members brought up the point, well, maybe somebody thinks they could go polka dot the place, and I wouldn't, as a board member, I wouldn't get a chance to weigh in on it. So
No.
if we say that's it, tighten that language up, and then we've got that squared away. Thanks.
Next.
Okay, my name is Sandy Rudy, and I have a concern about, number 12 here, dust and air pollution. It says air pollution in the form of dust and dirt shall be kept to a minimum by use of modern equipment and methods. Then it goes on to say, emission of dust and dirt at any point beyond lot lines shall be prohibited. So some of the reading I've done, this dust that's gonna be created is microscopic, you can't see it. So how are they gonna know if it's gone beyond the lot line? It says shall be prohibited. When I was at a meeting earlier, in the past year, they had talked about, air monitoring systems. Will, I don't see, unless I'm not seeing it, I don't see that anything has been said about those. I'm concerned because this dust does have silica in it. I'm concerned because my 5 grandchildren are less than half a mile away the wind blows, going to the middle school, going to the high school, playing outside. I'm concerned about this dust also going into our numerous waterways. We have streams, we have ponds, we have, I don't know what we can do, but I think there should be something in here. Honestly, I feel like I looked and it wasn't that expensive. I mean, these people that are doing this obviously could afford to have air monitoring systems placed maybe there, but other places, maybe there should be something by the school. We have, I wonder about, people planting gardens. So is this dust, like how long is it, when it settles, it's gonna settle on my, on my tomatoes? But I need that. Excuse me? I don't think you'd see it. You wouldn't, it's microscopic, that's what I'm saying, so I think there should be some type of monitoring, not just right there, because it's gonna be created, microscopic, it's gonna go, but the way this is worded here, emission of dust and dirt at any point beyond lot line, so in that dust, there will be some of this toxic, cancerous, causing dust, and we won't know, we won't see it. But it would be nice to know, maybe if you have, I don't know, some type of air system someplace from wow, it's collecting here. I mean, that's just one of my major concerns. And also the waterways. I mean, I'm into this nature stuff and I hate to see if there's a law, we would not know. You can't see it. And a lot of times I think it will, crushing here, and the dust goes, you don't know where it's going, where it's landing, who's going to affect. But, small children, there's older people, there's a lot of people that it could affect, and that's certainly. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next. Does anybody else wish to speak? Yes, you may.
Something I forgot to mention earlier when I was talking about exemptions, there's a paragraph in there, I don't remember the number, where it says that a miner can expand up to a certain amount without having to apply for any further permits. This again slightly concerns me because we can say, yeah, right, you can have a mine this big, and it's this big, and it's this big, and it's this big, and it's this big, and before we know it, we've got a huge mine, which wasn't what we signed up for. Yeah, I don't remember which paragraph that's in, but I think you might want to look at the language, tighten that up, and say, okay, if you need to expand a little, that's fine. If you need to expand a lot, that's not, and you can't do it, and don't let people do it myself.
So you're saying limit the amount of expansion that you've done?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
We get that right there. Limits on it.
Random. Again, random from.
Well, if I could comment, on page 5, section 2A, we do have limits on expansion you know, the expansion is defined as an additional 50% or more surface area. And the point there is, it's not 50% every year, it's 50% one time. If there's an expansion greater than that, they need to come back for additional permitting. So, I believe we have it covered with the provision for modest, expansion without permitting, but it's not unlimited. It's 50% once, that's it. So,
Or 4 additional acres, whichever is less.
yeah, well, yeah, there's a limit set up on 50% of 4 acres. But in any case, it's a one-time expansion. It's not like you can do that every year without permitting. So just wanted to clarify that.
Are we all set? All right. Thank you very much for coming tonight. We'll continue with this at another time, and we are working hard to make sure that everyone has a say. We're working hard to make sure that we look at what the people want, need, what the town needs. And it's hard to be objective in all areas, but I think we're doing it very well. And thank you.
Very good.
Excuse me?
What is the process for another meeting?
We look at it again.
We got it back. We got some tweaks we talked about anyway.
We talked about some more.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I may, so if we can get some feedback tonight on the areas that you'd like to have addressed, we can make some suggested
Yeah, let's do
changes.
that, yeah.
And then you have a meeting on the 24th, we could carry this forward until
Okay,
then.
let's do that.
And then look at an ordinance that has some of these things incorporated into it, so you need to identify now.
What those are, because they're kind of running out of. We're getting a little close.
Unfortunately, there is kind of,
Yeah.
John, can you share any of the correspondence you received with?
Yes, I apologize that I didn't send it to you, so. I'm gonna let you mail out.
Okay.
Well, it's not even 9 o'clock.
I know, huh? All right.
No further, any further business.
Explain that, page 8.
No further business.
I think what's being done when I go through the area.
I think so too, yeah.
There's nothing on our agenda.
I was just
right?
looking for a piece. My page.
And then-
He wants to go home.
No, I just want to make sure we.
That's only on submission requirement, I think, so, I mean. It's not necessarily a waiver of standards, I think it's just that there's something smaller operation that might not necessarily, it can make a reasonable case that they won't be impacted some of the standards. That this argument stands, that, you know, so that they're not required. They can make the argument that they're not required to, you know, provide a lot of the things that we might be asking if they make a reasonable argument that that's not going to be an issue. So it's like saying, well, this is applicable to us as a small operation. Not likely to be an issue, and I guess the board can make that determination. It's like request for waivers, and this, like I say, this is only the information that we ask them to provide. As opposed to actually a waiver on the standard. I think that's a distinction. It does say waivers, but it's not a waiver on the standards. It's a waiver perhaps on the large amounts of information. A follow operation might, you know, with good reason, not necessarily have to provide as much, because hopefully the impacts are less. That's my general understanding of what we're aiming for.
Yeah.
Dawn, did you have something you wanted?
No, I agree with Joel. I mean, it could be, technically, this is the ordinance, and so they need to adhere to it. There's no relief from it unless they go to the zoning board. So let's say, and I'm making this up, they need to submit 3 copies instead of 4 copies of materials.
Right.
They've asked for a waiver, so it could be something as innocuous as do some piece of information that's not relevant. for whatever reason, I can't think of one off the top of my head, but it's just for the submittal requirements, so I agree that there may be some misunderstanding there, that it's not a waiver of regulation.
Yeah, and that, that'll be by request to the board, and the board would make a adjudication on each of those requests. So, say, would it be okay if we don't submit this piece of information, and the board will say, well, no, actually, we think we do want to know about that potential, so. No, it's not guaranteed.
Well, what if we turn down that? Based on the ordinance? And the applicant thinks we're not applying them, and it's not. That much, right? The applicant, I think the board is not applying the ordinance correctly. We are meeting.
I think the next one catch actually was, we do need to detail the administrative appeals process rather than just the various appeals process. And that can be both for people who feel the decision was made for whatever reason, whether it be the applicant or anyone else. We should flesh out the administrative appeal process as well.
Way it sounds
And that's
now.
what matches the rest of the attorney argument.
The way it is now, it sounds like they're just going there to get a variance. Really not. They may be going there to protest our decision.
Exactly.
And then it's up to the appeals board.
I think that could be remedied by adding language in the planning board and administrative appeals in addition to the variances there. And I've got the section reference there, because Bill called me earlier and I realized how difficult it was for her to find that section.
It's a good catch. It should at least be.
Does we think that, are we narrowing this down to where there's a workable amount of changes that are needed? I think we are.
I think we're getting pretty close.
We're talking, I think identifying them might be a good idea. What are these people asking that from us, or that we could do something with, and what do we think we need to do something about? Because, I mean, you look at it and it becomes like.
I know, but I mean, from my notes, I think there's a list of clear questions that the board can make a decision on whether they agree with the suggestion or maybe want compromise, or maybe don't agree with the suggestion, so we won't make a change. And I think there's a reasonably manageable list of things that we can go back over in the forthcoming meeting to say, this is a suggested change from public, and I have to say everyone was very, very good, very specific. So we have a manageable list. So I hope you agree. I think there's a manageable list of questions that the board can literally just take a decision.
So when we answer these, we present them again. At some point, we can't keep answering kind of the same one said in a different way.
Yeah.
And presented in a different way. I mean, clearly, air quality seems to be one of the biggest.
Concerns.
Yes, and the wells, taking it around and all that, and then you hear a lot about the roads. And that's nothing we can do about anyway, but you hear a lot about the roads and the passing of the trucks, and I mean, we've heard that several times, I think.
I just want to,
I'm sorry.
all the everyone had perfectly valid points, but I just want to remind us, just in terms of good practice, in terms of crafting numbers, sometimes it can be very easy to, obviously, and I think, with most things, the creation of an ordinance like this is usually tied to one particular application in one particular area. Everyone should just bear in mind that, this is an ordinance that will deal with potentially the one issue, but it also will deal with everything going forward. So try not to, make decisions based on a specific known issue. Obviously, I mean, that's probably the whole reason why this is happening. But you got to think in terms, 1 year, 5 years down the line, somewhere else with a different. We've got to make sure everything is covered in the general sense. So try not to think about it in terms of like one particular potential issue.
Thank you for that, Joel.
This,
All right.
this particular applicant we're talking about, at one time, he was talking about this is how many trucks would be on that road in a day, in a month, and all of that. I don't know if that's something you could write into the ordinance.
I don't.
I think the
seriously
opposite,
think that's-
is what I just said, is
That's- yeah.
Don't try to.
don't take
Because
a
the
testimony of
next one will be on a
potential people applicant to
Yeah.
necessarily craft the ordinance, try to think in a larger term.
Because the board has a lot of, there's a lot of leeway when someone comes in, because they're gonna come into you, this ordinance is in place, and under that, you have
Yeah.
provisions in there regarding traffic, regarding design of driveways, so you can address those things
And
on
it
an
would,
individual basis.
and it would be specific to certain
Mhm.
roads.
Correct.
not-
Yeah. That's a very good point. Yeah.
We do have that.
So Dawn. We're gonna think about these changes and.
Well, I'd like to ask Joel, because I had a list, do you think we covered the list that, of the notes that you took? I know a big one for me that I have here is about the measuring of the air quality. That's come up a number of times.
I haven't seen written testimony, but from the spoken testimony tonight, I have a list that I understand of things to address. And so we don't want to get into it too far perhaps tonight, but my understanding is the air quality thing is how, because we did discuss that before, how it ties to what the DEP are requiring. And if there's going to be anything that the town can do above and beyond that, because if they have to get their air emissions, if they have to get their air emissions permit from the DEP, then the DEP probably supposed to be doing certain.
Where do you find that in the DEP regs? I've looked through everything.
Yeah,
The only thing I found is you're not allowed to exceed 20% opacity over a 5-minute time. I mean, that's pretty, there's gotta be other stuff in there. I just can't find it.
When we had the expert come in, that the individual applicant.
Yeah.
All the large station companies on how to verify air quality standards based on 7, 20% over a period of time, or whatever. He said that as long as you have a vegetative buffer to control the airflow, that the fine particulates fall out at the same rate as the large ones. So if you capture the large particle, you capture the small one.
And I've heard that, but I can prove it. Who's proved that? And is it a blanket approval? Doesn't matter where the operation is, what's in there.
I guess this is a big question for me is, we're talking about state regulations right now. Is the board talking about going above and beyond? Are you talking about what the state is requiring? I heard folks in the public saying they'd like to see more.
I
But we're
don't,
still debating how we just apply and enforce the state.
I haven't figured out what the state does. I think I wrote to you and asked you if there's any place I could look. I haven't found that, other than that 20%.
Couple of comments on the air issue is, the several of the public, the focus on the submicroscopic particles, which, are problematic. And their concern is, well, if they're generating these, you can't see them, and how do we know? But the thing is, these operations, there are no operations out there, at least not in the typical gravel pit, that are out there producing only microscopic invisible particles. They're producing dust, which contains all sizes of particles. Many of them visible, and what they do is they control the visible dust. In doing so, they're also controlling the invisible particles. And when I say control, I mean, it's not an absolute 100% elimination, but controlling it. Again, the maximum 20% opacity issue is the measure they commonly use. But, people are saying, well, how do we know that all this invisible stuff isn't coming out quoting us, it's like, well, because there's no visible there, and so therefore, if you're controlling the visible, you're also controlling the invisible. You know, the water sprays and the crushing equipment and so forth, that's, and the dust control and the operation, that's what really knocks it down. And it's, I don't know, it's hard to convince people that just because it's invisible, you don't know if it's being controlled, but because you're controlling the visible stuff, it's all mixed together, and it's not one being produced exclusive of the other. They're all being produced together.
So somebody has done some testing and they proved that. But how do we know that the fines are taken out just because of the stuff? I don't quite understand. Unless maybe somebody's done studying that.
Oh, I'm sure there's lots of studies.
You quote me one, I'll Google it.
No,
Yeah, of course.
just go online and just.
I did, I
You
can't
couldn't find any?
Not where they've
I
done
had
it.
so many people tell me once they've read.
Or if you control the large stuff, the fine stuff.
Oh, exactly that one? No.
Well, that's what we're trying to tell these people.
Somebody over here said it.
The expert with the credentials said it, so I mean.
I don't
It's like, it's like anything. Everything we do in life is based on somebody's study.
No, I can
somewhere.
say
We don't have
anything,
proof
but
that
somebody
they-
sooner or later is gonna say, well, prove that to me. If you prove that taking the visible stuff out also takes out the fines. Okay, I have not seen that yet.
Well,
Can you prove that there's some fines out there?
That's
You
not
can't
what-
see them, can you? So there we go.
All right.
Okay, but you tell these people. that.
I know.
I can tell you.
All I'm saying is, they're telling us that this operation producing these fines.
I can.
Well,
with
how do you
testing.
know? Give me the study that shows that, but,
You can.
so
with
you can
testing.
fight, you can fight the same argument either way.
But you admitted last meeting, yes, there are instruments that will test.
Yes, they do, and
Why don't we do it?
they're running them, there's about eight or so places in the state that the Air Bureau runs and
Why don't
monitors.
we do that?
Huh?
That would prove whether we're taking everything out.
I
or-
think we're talking about a lot of money.
No, you're not.
If you're not talking about a lot of money, then.
I started to
I would
get
have
quotes.
to say
You
that I
guys
doubt
shot me down
results.
last meeting.
I doubt the results, some cheap thing is gonna tell me what's gonna go in my lungs or not, I really do.
It's gonna be a first gap, okay? You're gonna have these, they're not gonna be official. They have to be sent out every 3 months to be calibrated. They sit out in the field, I assume you probably can solar power them. They're not that expensive. You start seeing the fines, so then what do? You talk to the EPA and say, we would like you to come and verify.
Who has, I guess you'd have to say, who's, verified that these things actually work? Or they're
Well,
calibrated.
Jesus, we can explain anything
They're
away here, if that's
calibrated.
what you really want, forget it.
That they're even
There's instruments
calibrated.
out there that do it, they're calibrated. The results you can get them on, the results online. I assume they could be solar powered, they're fairly portable,
Interesting.
move them around. Every 3 months, I think you have to send them out. It's not something I'm saying you gotta put out there and monitor for the rest of the time operation. You
No, I
do it
understand.
initially, you eliminate that concern. If you get a reading that says it's too high, talking about under 2.5. You get a reading out there, then you ask the EPA or whoever to come in, set up their equipment, do a test to verify it. Otherwise, you gotta hire a third party and all that crap for people.
I
So
think
would
we'd
that-
love to
Would that
have.
be something CEO would have to go out and do it on a schedule? Because you couldn't take word of the operator. Right.
So how long ago did we have the expert? Here,
Probably 10 months ago.
10 minutes.
Which expert?
Is it time to bring, well, representative from the DEP.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, really? That was offered by,
He came in as an expert witness.
I missed that day. We didn't bring anybody in that makes this.
I just wanted time to get the DEP expert here and educate us on.
Do it while the public's here.
Yeah.
Do it while the
Yeah.
public's here.
And then have them tell us,
Maybe he can convince us.
this is the reality, this is what's available or isn't available.
Yeah.
This is the calibration process, this is how often you need to do it, for it to be a meaningful program. And then we got some, either it's, we're chasing up a tree or this reality.
That's all I'm saying.
And, you know, tonight I heard the point about the school. Schools in the vicinity of this particular mining operation proposed. Maybe all said and done with this input, we say, okay, let's put a monitoring station on that hill by the two schools. I don't know. And measure it, see what we have. I still think about back in the 60s when we wanted to get a permit, the DEP and the EPA put in new recovery boilers, new digesters at the Androscoggin Mill. There were 3 monitoring stations in Jay, located specifically around, this is 1972. This is what, 50 plus years ago. We did monitoring, air monitoring around that community for 1 to 3 years, I believe. And we had to meet criteria set up by the DEP, and some of that criteria was set up by the measurements. And all said and done, we got to that point. And then there was a whole period of introduction of scrubbers to take out particulate. And there was a whole set of instrumentation that went in to measure that particulate on discharge from all those sources. And these were stacks and exhaust ports and ducts, the whole works that was bending into the atmosphere. All that stuff had to be measured and reported, documented to the DEP. And yeah, that was 50 years ago. So I can't believe this technology doesn't exist. It's a function of cost. Where do you put it? How do you calibrate it?
It's a
Who
test well.
maintains it? And
Test
to
well.
me, you get the DEP expert in here.
Yeah.
At our next meeting, you got a valid point about the public hearing, the same thing we hear.
Yeah.
And then from there, we can draw a conclusion about what we want to put in there.
DEP can convince everybody that they're safe without measuring it.
And they have as Ed said, they have monitoring stations around the state
Yeah.
that are doing this. I imagine they're quite elaborate, and they're over a period of time, and they're averaged and all that good stuff. But
Do you think we can get them in here in 2 weeks?
I'll inquire.
Yeah, I mean, that's a.
You have any connections over there, Joe?
Not specifically in the monitoring department, no.
We have a contact.
Not sure I do. I've got one here.
Yeah, they're done with you, huh?
That's right.
Can we agree that we should try,
Yes.
get the expert in?
Yeah.
But
Let's
who's gonna
try.
carry that ball, I guess?
John,
I will pursue getting someone here.
if we could, then
Because Don's right, it's
I
a
think
big
that'd be
deal.
helpful for everybody.
We
'cause
don't
this
answer
seems
the
to be a
question.
Big thing.
It's gonna linger and.
We get savvy up.
No.
What do we?
You would want that.
Oh, March 9th, but we're not gonna make it. So, because there's a certain date window that they can't change it. However, if they you can make it more, effective retroactively. So that's how the town attorney, and that's what we'll do, or that's what the council will have to do when they adopt it. The language will be such that it'll be retroactive.
So March 9 is for the town council to approve the ordinance?
That's when the moratorium expires.
Okay.
So we have to do, the council will do something retroactive so that it covers that gap, so it protects
Gotcha.
the town and owners side in that window. So it is the 9th, we're trying to get as close as we can, but we are gonna be after it at this point, so if there's something really important, I mean, I talked to town council, we talked. to the-
Well, and this, what I'm suggesting may help this process, help speed it. We've debated this, I think, at least 4 times I've been here.
I think you're right,
Longer than that.
Rick, you're right,
that I've been,
That's what talked about for you guys.
correct.
you're right.
I guess the other point, if we could, the next meeting, Dawn's gonna create a list of what those items, those categories, those sections that were brought up tonight and other, mainly tonight.
You're talking about the sections of this ordinance?
Talking about what people brought up tonight relative to the ordinance. I heard, noise. I heard air. I heard blasting and impact on wells and such.
Foundations.
I heard, yeah, foundations, another, make sure we've got it right, cross our T's there. Number of blasting per year and per month, I heard that. I mean, it's a short list, it's less than 10, more than 6.
Yeah, I think so.
Items that we really need to address. And if we could go through the ordinance in some order, keeping in mind if we have a DEP person here, we may want to take them and take care of that issue first
Absolutely.
and then move on. But if we can organize it like that, I think we can get through it pretty quick.
I can look it up, but did our ordinance require a free blast survey? It does, okay.
Yes.
And I noticed the state, there's a way you can get that waiver. You have to agree to certain charge criteria, closest house and all that, but they can actually get out of that one big sure. But I thought maybe those limitations to blasting, we followed them, still made them do the free blast. That might be. That was brought up.
And back to the process, the next meeting, if we're going through the ordinance and we're dealing with a section, can we agree that, if we agree that that's the way it should be? And I think we've done that right along.
Can we vote on it?
Yeah, if we,
Yeah,
edge point about 10 to 15, and we say it's 10, or it's 15, whatever it is, we all agree with that, that's what goes into it, we move on.
we're
to the
done
next
with it,
issue.
right? Yeah, that's what I
That makes
agree with.
sense.
Absolutely.
And just for 100% clarification, when we talk about trying to get from DEP, we're talking about air quality measurements and air quality,
The
correct?
DEP, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And particularly what's available for measurement, frequencies, and such. That's good.
When did when was someone from the company here last? I haven't seen them in a while. Have you? The one, this one.
Yeah, the one that
Yeah.
applied previously?
Yeah,
Minor.
I've never met them.
Yeah.
I can't think of the guy's name. But he,
Rick,
nor
Rick,
his, Rick, yeah, nor his people, I haven't seen.
No, I'm waiting for new ordinance.
Okay?
Why would they come?
I don't think he's been here since we started this
No.
process.
I think he came a couple of times, but then I haven't.
I just want to make comment on the sound issue. Particularly referencing the concern, Scott Knox, I believe, talking about sound levels, where he cited that EPA suggests 55 dBA, day-night average sound level, would protect public from adverse effects of noise. Well, he's citing a 24-hour average for something that's going to, for sound that's going to take place during basically daylight operational hours, 5 days a week. And, so it really, and he's citing a day-night average, 24-hour average versus 8-hour exposure at 65 dBA max, which is, that's pretty conservative number.
That would open it up to severe. That would raise the allowable decibels during the day, right?
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
but he's suggesting 55 dBA max, which is,
8 to 4, he said.
yeah, 8 to 4. Yeah, so 55 dBA, man, that's pretty quiet and.
Yeah, it's like a car idling.
Yeah.
Really?
That's less than that.
Too quiet,
Yeah, so I think that's that's
Up the property line.
pretty much unreasonable, yeah.
Okay, do we all know what we're gonna do?
So, I just want to get a heads up about that.
We got a letter from Gil, he was. Look at that.
Oh, I read it.
Come up.
Oh, I don't remember it. I
I
read
have
it
to read
today.
it again, but there may be something in there that they didn't bring up tonight.
I didn't see anything. Did you, John? In Gil's letter? I
I'd have to
didn't.
go back. and
I
read
don't
it.
recall anything other than the issues that
The dust was in there, well,
Seems to be the usual.
stream pollution was
All of the
one.
letters have the usual. I
Yes,
mean,
similar
what
concern.
what we hear about their concerns, the same ones that.
I think stream pollution. might be
Yeah, stream for groundwater
But
and
it
so
got in there,
forth,
but that kind of goes.
that's why you do the well surveys.
Sir, I'm trying.
Got it. Make the motion.
You make the motion, you second it. Good night, everybody. Thank you very much.
All right, good night, folks.
Good night.
Onward.